Hello and welcome back to Nick Up, the ADHD podcast. I'm Kyle. Welcome to the show. Today we are talking about hyperfocus. If you've listened to the other episodes, then hopefully you've taken something from them. If you get the chance and if you feel like it, then please share them with people that you think may help, because it's what I'm trying to do is get a message or try and help as many people as possible, not just a select few. I want it to be diverse in terms of it can help parents, relationships, and also people that suffer. So there's a few things that I wanted to say. I think I'm trying to structure the shows now into proper, I say shows, episodes, whatever they are. I'm trying to structure them a bit better so that I'm not just yabbing and just talking until I start getting people to converse with on the podcast. That's when I'll just purely freestyle it, but right now it needs a little bit of direction. So a few things, just because I want to be careful with what I'm doing. The first thing to say is that I'm not a clinician or a medical professional. I'm someone living with ADHD, and because it's affected every part of my life in mad ways, I made the decision to learn as much about it as possible by analysing my own behaviour, the behaviour of other ADHDers, and talking through patterns with my neurologist over time. And this podcast is built from that, to help you connect some dots, understand your brain better, and really stop blaming yourself for reactions that actually have an explanation. Some of the episodes are going to be question-led, but not in a way to test you or to put you on the spot. It's more personal. You can just understand what's being said and sort of nod your head along with it and acknowledge it. But if something makes you pause, then pause it and think about it, because ultimately you're trying to, or you should, if your aim is to listen and to learn, then do that. There's no rush to get it finished. If you are engaged, then you should stay engaged. If you're interested, don't force nothing. That's what I always say. But if something feels familiar, then sit with it. Sitting with our thoughts is a huge thing. It is a real big thing. So many people get a little uncomfortable and just, I've got to clear my head. I've got to get this out of my head. I've got to change subject. Because they are uncomfortable sitting with what's actually going on in their head. Luckily for me, I didn't think that I would ever get to that place in my life because of how bad my anxiety was and how bad the panic attacks were. But for me now, that's a huge thing. I love to sit there and think and challenge the things that used to worry me quite a lot. Especially how my health, things like health anxiety was extreme for me for years and years on end. It was real bad. But yeah, if you do recognize yourself in the things that I speak about, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It means that there might be a way to understand some of the things that you're dealing with. Possibly. Not always, but possibly. Soon I'm going to be running mentoring sessions, so if that's something that you're interested in, you can reach out to me on one of the social media platforms I'm going to have in my bio. They should be up there soon. So if you are someone that I don't know in particular, then feel free to reach out and ask me things that you need help with, and so on. But yeah, so for today, the episode is going to be about hyperfocus, and the way that hyperfocus is viewed, I guess. I'm going to try and go over as many things as possible, but hyperfocus as a whole, it normally gets spoken about like it's a superpower. Like it's something that you can switch on when you want to get things done and switch it off when you're finished. That's never ever been an experience for me. Hyperfocus doesn't feel like control, and it don't feel like discipline either. It feels more like being grabbed by something and then almost held against your will, whether you want it to happen or not. You're sort of stuck. I didn't really understand it for a long time. I thought that hyperfocus just meant I was good at concentrating sometimes. And I think I even used to claim that it was a superpower. But looking back, I realised it was never something I chose. It was just something I noticed after it had happened. And falling into that spiral isn't always, I can't even say what you, I guess, yeah, it's not always what you want, but sometimes you really don't want it, and it happens. I'd sit down to do a task, just one thing, and then look up and realise that literally hours have gone. Hours have gone. Not minutes, literally like hours. And I wouldn't even know where the time had gone. I'd be baffled. I started something at 4 o'clock and it's now 9 o'clock, and I'm thinking, what? So much has gone past. I've not eaten, not drank, not gone to the toilet. It's crazy. And if you've ever had that happen to you, then you'll get exactly what I mean. Because when hyperfocus hits, everything else starts to fade. Sleeping isn't important. Hunger literally disappears. Time just stops behaving the way that the time works. It's not the same. I've had nights where I'm exhausted and I know that I need to sleep, but my brain won't let go of whatever it's locked onto. And that's not motivation. That is not motivation. Do not get that confused. That is because I'm stuck, or you're stuck, whatever it may be. That isn't being determined and motivated and switched on and locked in. It's pretty much the complete opposite. Time blindness is probably one of the biggest parts of it for me, and that makes it worse, because urgency doesn't show up at the start, it shows up later once you've realised how much time you've lost, and then the rest of your day's fucked because you've sat there and wasted 5-6 hours on some nonsense that was never, I was never going to achieve anything from it. And now the rest of my day's all over the place and I'm playing catch up. That's where nick up comes in. Not at the beginning, but after. When everything suddenly feels like urgent because the time's already gone. There's obviously responsibilities that will always cut through hyperfocus for me personally. My children, for example, no matter what I'm locked into, they will always override everything, always. But relationships don't always survive hyperfocus. And for some people that can be uncomfortable to admit. It's not because you don't care, and it's not because you're selfish, but because your attention is somewhere else and you can't pull it back. Even when you want to pull it back, you can't. And over time, I suppose that's it's natural that that's going to create distance. It could be quiet and slowly, it could be loud and, in your face and fast, but naturally I think it's going to create distance between you and someone if you're not as invested as, even if you are invested, it may come across that you're not, because your focus is just elsewhere. And if you're honest with yourself, you might recognize that. Because something else I didn't understand for a long time is that hyperfocus isn't always calm or enjoyable, even when it's producing something good. It can still be, you're still going to feel the pressures of stuff. I wrote and released an entire mixtape, album, whatever, in a real short space of time. I did obviously the music, writing, the artwork, everything. Hyperfocus definitely helped me to do that. Without hyperfocus, I don't think it would be possible, because there was direction, there was progress, and there was an end point. But even with those things in place, I still felt pressure. I felt the tension. I couldn't stop doing it. Like stepping away, that wasn't really an option for me. So even when hyperfocus works for you, it doesn't always feel comfortable, because at the time I probably had bigger responsibilities, but I was so invested that I knew that I had to do it. So I'd be up until 3-4 a.m. writing songs and racking my brain, taking myself on crazy journeys through my brain to remember things that are going to help me put my story on a page. When I've got work in, I've got to be up for work in 2 hours time. That's not a good place to be at. But that's why I think it's important to separate different kinds of focus, because sometimes hyperfocus moves forward and you can see the progress, like you're learning, you're finishing things and like ticking things off. And sometimes it don't move at all, like you're putting in effort but nothing's changing. You feel like you're almost there, but you're not actually getting any closer. That's when it starts to feel like you're being trapped. And walking away from it's hard, because stopping feels worse than continuing. Stopping means no closure and it feels unfinished, so you stay longer than you should. That probably refers to RSD a bit. And things get even more complicated when emotions involved, with ADHDers. Things always get complicated when emotions involved. If you've ever been stuck trying to fix a relationship, for example, trying to make someone understand you, or I guess trying to make something work when the other person isn't meeting you halfway, then you'll know exactly what I mean. Your brain treats it like a problem it can solve, but if the resolution depends on someone else's stance, then there's no finish line. The loop just stays open, and it will stay open forever. That's where it becomes painful, far more painful than task-based hyperfocus, because with those tasks, as I said, you've got a goal, you've got an end goal. In a situation where you're relying on someone else's input, their own free will, where's the end point? Because they could just lead it, keep it going on for as long as they want it to go on for. And if you're fixated on that, hyper-focused on that, and there is a difference between those two things, but if you are, you're just going to keep going around in circles. The amount of people that I know that are just going around in circles with their misses or their links or whatever it may be is crazy. Probably out of a group of people. Like, I don't necessarily say I have many friends as such. I have a lot of associates, a hell of a lot of associates, and I would probably say 90% of them have these situationships where they're invested, they're hyper focused on it, and they can't let go, or the other way around. But when it finally ends, the reaction, it can go either way. Sometimes it's relief, and sometimes it's frustration. Sometimes it's anger at like yourself for the time that you've lost. But what I've noticed is that clarity usually comes back quite quickly once I'm out of hyperfocus. I can suddenly, I can see almost instantly how stuck I was. And that probably tells me that hyperfocus isn't me. It's just a state that I go in and out of. It's not like it's, it's built into me and I have to, it's something that's like guaranteed constantly. It's just, I guess you could see it as a symptom, I suppose. Similar, if you was having panic attacks, you wouldn't be a panic attack. You'd go into that state, wouldn't you? That state of panic. So I categorize it that way. From the outside, hyperfocus is it's completely misunderstood, I think, because people might see you as like obsessive, or some people see it as laziness followed by sudden intensity. And they might praise it as work ethic when it benefits them, or that I really enjoyed it because you put so much effort in with me and stuff. But the problem is that when people see what you can do in that state, it becomes an expectation then, and that creates pressure. Sometimes from others, and even like from myself, I expect myself to perform at such a high level when I'm doing things. I expect so much of myself, and at that point, hyperfocus stops. It stops feeling like a strength, and it starts feeling like a burden then. Because I try and run 5k a day, and high percentage of the time I run 5k a day every day, if not minimum 5 days a week. My legs are fucked. I've said before, I played football when I was younger. I've had injuries over the years that I never got fixed. I had a dislocated chocolate ankle for 12, 13 years. It's crazy. I had an operation on it, and they were like, we don't quite understand what's going on here. It's like dislocated and not working, and I had to opt to have a bone removed and stuff. So my legs and ankles and my knees, they're not what they was once before, but I feel that I'm still in this hyper-focused state where I have to run every day. Part of me enjoys it, but sometimes I can't be fucked. I'm just like, nah man, not today, but I'll still go and do it because I've drilled it into myself so that it presents as self-discipline. I was speaking to my boy Ben, and we've been talking. We talk on me and my friend Ben, man. We talk on a bit of a higher frequency, I think. I've worked with him, and I wouldn't say that we clashed. I just think that we had a lot of respect for each other. I think I definitely respected him for the person he was, as opposed to the things that he's done. He's done some very respectable things that I do respect, but I respected him more for the person that he was and the person that he is, because he's genuine, and we had I wouldn't say clashes, but we had times where we disagreed on things, but we were both very stubborn, and we both stuck by our guns. We both stayed true to ourselves, and if a man's doing that, then you can't really knock them, you know. But yeah, me and Ben, we've had numerous conversations about ADHD and about medications and the possibility of people having it, and I think we've spoken about hyperfocus, and I used to feel that when I was in that working environment, that was probably the only person I wouldn't say rely on, but the only person I could converse with on a level that understood me, because we're both similar in the way that we want to get shit done. And I think that we probably both liked things black and white. But when it come to locking in, he was very similar to me. I was about to say all of the pissing about went out the window, but he'll probably laugh at that if he listens to this, because yeah, we had some funny times, man. But yeah, when it was crunch time, I know that he knew I was the person he could come to. I know that he knew that, and I was fairly new within my role, but when it was that time and it was time to get shit done and get shit cracking, he was always the guy in charge. So he had to take that role of a leader and direct things. So he needed someone on the ground that was gonna, I guess he was organizing the workers and what needed to be done, and then he needed someone to lead that pack. And he always turned to me for that. Or he'd pull me to the side and say, yo, look, we need to get this done, by the way, by this time, yeah? Sweet, mate. And leave me with it. And he knew that, yo, we're locking in, we're getting it done. That's what there's no talking about, like, we're going to get it done. Sweet, no problem. It will be done. That's when hyperfocus feels good. Hyperfocus feels like you're achieving something. But again, remember, there's an end goal. There's an end goal of hyperfocus at that time. Now remember the other part that I said, when you're hyper-focused on things that are detrimental to you, you can be attached to something for so long. I've done it myself. I've been in environments, relationships, friendships that I've been hyper-focused on because I care about the people and I love the people. And I just wish that more than anything, it could just be resolved. The issues could be resolved and it could just be sorted out and there's peace. And it don't come. It doesn't come because there is no end point, because you don't know where you stand. I don't want to go too far off track, but that just was a bit of a rant that came out because I'm so passionate about this stuff and trying to get people to understand and help that passion will always pull through. There's times where I want hyperfocus, and there's times I wish I could access it on demand, for sure. Like when I can't concentrate, it's horrible. But I guess I'm also aware of how far it can take me if I'm not careful, because I've snapped out of it hours later and thought, how has that even happened? Like, what am I doing? So I think it's probably, I guess it's important to say this super clearly to people. Hyperfocus is not a superpower. Yeah? Hyperfocus is not a superpower. Because if it was, it wouldn't destroy your sleep, it wouldn't strain your relationships, or leave you drained, frustrated, fucked off, regretful, angry. It wouldn't do that. I don't think that if you had a superpower, that I think what's a superpower that people turn to all the time, like, oh, you know, if you could read someone's mind, if you could see through things, you know, them sorts of things probably aren't going to fuck you off, you know. I'm trying to break it down in simple terms. But it's not control, and it's not discipline. And the reason I mentioned my friend Ben is because we spoke about me having good self-discipline. Because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything really. All I do is I eat cakes. I eat cakes, and sweets sometimes. But cakes is my thing. Other than that, I don't do anything really. I just want to be with my children. That's it. That's all I want. I only drink water. These sorts of things look like discipline, but I just think that I'm so channeled into. I probably think I probably am fixated on being healthy because of my health anxiety that I had for so long. As I'm speaking, these things obviously start to resonate, but I'm obviously still learning. I just have extensive knowledge on this sort of thing because I've spent so much time trying to learn about myself. But I guess that could be, that could be a reason why I feel fixated on it. But what my point is that it's not discipline, it's not self-discipline, and it's not proof that you can focus whenever you want. That it really isn't, because there will be days where I'm like I said, I'm like, fuck this, I ain't doing this. And don't get me wrong, I probably will still end up doing it, but it might take me catching myself at a good time during my medicated period of the day, which is, normally the whole thing, but catching like a peak or something, and then I will then I'll find it in me to go and do what I need to do in terms of my fitness regime and how I go about my business with the gym and stuff. But ultimately it's a state that you go in and out of. Sometimes it builds things and sometimes it traps you, but it can also do both things at the same time. The real question isn't really whether you experience hyperfocus, is whether you understand when it's helping you and when it's costing you. And that awareness is where the things start to change. And if you can dissect it, if you can understand where it's helping you, and you can channel and control to an extent, I suppose, when you can try and put a stop to it before it gets to the destructive stage. It's not easy to just dip out of hyperfocus. Believe me, it's not. I've been trying to fix my car. I've got ChatGPT up, Google, YouTube, 100 million tabs on the laptop. I've got the laptop on the bonnet of the car. I'm running a hotspot off my phone. I'm watching this video, I'm watching that video. I'm doing all sorts of shit to try and fix my car. I'll be doing it for 2 to 3 hours, thinking, yeah, I can do that. I've got the money to take it to a mechanic. That's not a problem. I can go and take it to a mechanic and they'll probably just fix the car quickly. or give it a day or so. But that is hyperfocus, that I can do this, I'll do this. Again, it comes in from Nick Up, it comes in. The challenge part is, I want to do this, but that's unhealthy. Because where's the end point? Of course, the end, there is an end goal, is to fix the car, but I ain't got a fucking clue what I'm doing. So I'll work on it for 2 to 3 hours, and then at the end of it, do you know what I'll do? I'll go and take it to a fucking mechanic. Like that's the sort of shit that this stuff has you doing. So if you call it a superpower, and you believe it's a superpower, then I'd love to have a discussion with you. I'd love to discuss some things, honestly, I really would, because I don't see how something that can cost you so many hours of your week, of your day, in a non-constructive way, can be a superpower. I really don't. Another friend of mine, Shiz, is this is something that we've discussed on a few occasions, and we don't disagree, I don't think, on ADHD, but there's definitely some parts of it that are viewed differently, I'd say, by both of us. But yeah, he's a cool guy, and I think he needs some medication sometimes. It's strange, because some of the things that I see around a lot of the people I'm around, it does remind me of myself in some ways, but I kind of, now that I'm able to realize what's going on, I can stand back and watch people, and I can be silent and watch people for minutes without saying anything, watching them in hyperfocus mode, attached to their phone, doing whatever they're doing, and obsessed with it, fixated on. Again, I don't want to get that mixed up. There is a difference between hyperfocus and fixation. Obviously, the fixation part is the part where I say that it's the unhealthy, no target version of hyperfocus. And what they're doing on their phones may have an end goal, but what my point is that now I can stand back and watch people and think like, yeah, just like, I'll let you do your thing. Because one of the worst things for me, I get hyperfocused when I'm gambling, and sometimes today I've spent 4 figures today, unfortunately, because that's hyperfocus. That's fixation. That's not hyperfocus. That's motherfucking fixation. Fixated on winning, and it's unhealthy. It's super, super, super unhealthy, and it's something I'm looking to try and address immediately, not in the new year, immediately, because it requires attention immediately. So yeah, that's my take, or I guess a shortened version of my take on hyperfocus. I'm not 100% sure whether it's something I'll touch on again. Maybe if the demand says so, then I can give a few different examples maybe, and we can revisit it. But yeah, for me, I think that I've tried to touch on the main things and the two sides of the coin. And I think that that's probably the main part, is to try and understand where it's working for you, and try and understand where it's working against you. And if you can put a stop to it, which it, like I've said probably numerous times now, I feel like I'm yapping on a bit, but if you can put a stop to it, then do so, even if it means you have to sort of force yourself to stop. Try and keep something for some rationale. Try and have something that's going to give you some sort of logic around what you're doing, whether it's notes on your phone or a screensaver or whatever it may be, a background that sort of says like don't do this, or how long has it been that you've been doing something. Setting timers can work, but I mean, how long do you leave something until it becomes destructive, or I don't really know. But yeah, that's my take on hyperfocus, and I hope that I've explained it in an okay way. I've only had a little bit of feedback. I want as much as I can get, because I don't know whether I'm putting out these podcasts and people are listening thinking, the fuck is he going on about? Even if I am, I'll still do them, because I think that there'll be some people that will resonate and some people that will appreciate it. But yeah, that was the episode 4 on hyperfocus. And I mentioned at the start about some mentoring sessions. They're obviously going to be quite limited, but what needs to be said about that is that I don't think in any way, shape or form that I'm perfect. That needs to be remotely clear. I know that I'm not. I'm extremely far from perfect. I do a lot wrong. I am very impulsive. I can be over passionate, which can probably present in aggression sometimes, maybe. But it is only ever about the things I'm passionate about and the things that I love and care about, because there's so few things. So I'm calm 95% of the time, and people can't even believe that I have medication and that I'm diagnosed with ADHD, and severe ADHD at that. But the other 5%, I still have that. I think they say, you got that dog in you. I don't know about that. I'm not a dog, but I've got passion inside of me, and I've got grit and determination, and I don't really know what quitting is until I'm pulled away. So hopefully you can take something from this. I've probably said this 3 times now as well. It's pissing me off. Hopefully you can take something from this, guys. Sweet, thank you. I'm ending it now.